The year 1993. Spring. Kalbajar. Surrounded by Armenian occupiers. Residents of the district are being evacuated by military and civilian aviation helicopters. Women, children, elderly people. And American reporter Thomas Goltz, who agreed to evacuation at the very last moment. Before boarding the overcrowded helicopter, he took this shot.
Kalbajar was surrounded, and it was impossible to leave by road. As a result, people were being evacuated by helicopters. The number of helicopters was very limited. There was a desperate crush of people trying to board. He described all of it, of course. On the cover of his book, he used a photo of that final helicopter lifting off from Kalbajar, with the crowd, the people, the chaos. He saw it all. He was part of it. He was also one of the last to escape from Kalbajar.
Later, Thomas Goltz would often recall that the escape from the encirclement in Kalbajar was the most dramatic ordeal of his life, but not the last. When the journalist managed to contact his editorial office, he was told that neither Reuters nor the Associated Press had reported anything about the capture of Kalbajar. Moreover, Armenian sources claimed they were attacked in that direction. Seeing that the Post refused to publish an article about the capture of the first Azerbaijani district outside Nagorno-Karabakh and the expulsion of 60,000 of its residents, Goltz called his friend and colleague Alex Rov in Georgia and asked him, after passing through Ganja, to reach Muravdag. The next morning, Alex saw hundreds of refugees, some carrying dead children, unable to endure the hardships of crossing Muravdag. Thus, the world would learn about yet another crime committed by Armenians against peaceful Azerbaijani civilians.
Many say that Thomas Goltz was a bit crazy, that he loved war, that he took too many risks, and so on. Yes, maybe he was an adventurous person, but still, he was honest, and he was pure inside. He wrote what he believed, but he never took money. He wrote with honesty, with fairness. He believed in what he saw, and that's why he was respected by such well-known newspapers as The Washington Post, International Herald Tribune, The National Interest, The New York Times. He truthfully described the tragedy of the Azerbaijani people.
Thomas Goltz was born in Japan, grew up in North Dakota, and studied in New York, focusing on the Middle East. He traveled extensively across Africa and lived in Turkey. He has written for the New York Times, Los Angeles Times, Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, Foreign Policy, National Interest, Washington Quarterly, and others.
He didn't really like to be considered a journalist per se. But he was a journalist, obviously, and a writer, and I think he was more of an adventure seeker to start with, and truth seeking, and he was very much into dramatics, drama as a younger man, and I think that kind of opened avenues for him to chase down, and boy, oh boy, there were a number of them, but the Azerbaijani one was the coup de grace.
In 1991, he was flying to Tashkent via Baku. However, the American journalist's Uzbek visa was delayed, and he stayed in Azerbaijan.
He came to Azerbaijan by accident in the early 1990s. As he himself said, he was planning to fly to Uzbekistan, but ended up in Baku by chance. He witnessed January 20th, the Karabakh conflict, and many other pivotal moments. He saw the coups in Azerbaijan, the political upheavals. He realized that something truly significant was happening here, the birth of a new sovereign state. He realized that many important things were happening here, and he decided to stay in Azerbaijan. He shared this information with the American public and the international community. He published many articles in the Washington Post, the New York Times, the National Interest, and other well-known newspapers writing about our pain, and that helped us tremendously. As Hafiz Pashayev, our ambassador to the United States, once said, this kind of information was essential for American congressmen and senators to understand the true reality of our war. Because, as you know, the Armenian lobby in the United States was very strong, and they managed to get Congress to adopt the notorious Section 907 sanctions against Azerbaijan. and people like Thomas Goltz helped fight against those sanctions and against that injustice.
санкциями, с этой несправедливостью.
Thomas Goltz became one of the few foreign journalists who witnessed the Khojaly massacre. In his first article about the tragedy in Khojaly, published in the Washington Post 2 days after the events on February 27, Goltz wrote from Agdam. According to the head of the Agdam Mosque, Said Sadigov, on just one Wednesday, refugees from Khojaly registered the names of 477 dead in his mosque, Goltz wrote. At that time, right after the tragedy, the numbers of dead and injured varied greatly. In Baku, only about 100 deaths had been officially confirmed, while in Yerevan they bluntly claimed that no more than 2 people had been killed during the night. Goltz wrote his Azerbaijan diary about what he lived through, what he saw in Azerbaijan, and what the world did not want to hear. The book was published in 1998.
Но отдельная часть его
A separate part of his book is dedicated to Haydar Aliyev, the national leader. He was friends with him, and he was the first journalist to visit Haydar Aliyev in Nakhchivan, even before the people called on Aliyev to return to power and before the events of 1993. Thomas Goltz found him there, alone in Nakhchivan, interviewed him. From that moment on, they remained
с тех
friends.
пор они дружили.
Thomas Goltz remained loyal to Azerbaijan even after the war ended and the national leader Haydar Aliyev returned to power. In August 2000, Goltz took part in a motorcycle rally along the route of the future Baku-Tbilisi-Ceyhan pipeline. Together with 25 other riders, the American journalist carried a symbolic first barrel of oil from Baku to Ceyhan on an IMZ motorcycle with a sidecar to draw attention to this mega-project, which symbolizes the economic independence of both Azerbaijan and Georgia.
В то время, когда никто не верил,
At a time when no one believed in the Baku-Tbilisi-Ceyhan pipeline, no one believed in the project, no one believed in that pipeline, he was the first to carry symbolic oil by motorcycle. It wasn't an easy route. It passed through mountainous terrain, and he organized it all himself. Having witnessed the pain of Karabakh in the early 90s, he deeply hoped for its liberation. He dreamed of Azerbaijan restoring justice, and he longed to see Karabakh again.
When Azerbaijan liberated its territories, Thomas Goltz was already seriously ill and wheelchair-bound. But he could not miss visiting the liberated Karabakh.
Yes, I was. He asked me personally, he called me up and he said, Vince, I have a favor to ask of you, and nobody else can do it other than you. And I knew what he was about to ask, and he asked me, he said, would you take me to Azerbaijan once again? And I said, absolutely. How could I say no? Most everyone in my family encouraged me to not bring him because his health had been failing significantly. And I said, I'm taking him. And they told me no, no, no. And I said, yes, yes, yes. And quite honestly, it was very scary because I did not know if he would make it through the whole trip. And somehow we miraculously did make it through the trip. And when boarding the Azal flight out of Baku, the plane got about this angle off of the tarmac, and we sat side by side on the aisle, and he reached over with his little finger. I knew what it meant, and so we locked little fingers, and he said to me, mission accomplished. And it was huge. It was a huge thing because I knew it meant so much to him. And we had succeeded to bring him here one more time.
Thomas Goltz passed away 2.5 months after visiting the liberated Karabakh. The journalist had wished for his ashes to be scattered in 3 places that held deep meaning for him. And the first on that list was Azerbaijan.
It's the first time anybody's ever put me in that position, and to make the decision to get the ashes to Azerbaijan seemed like it was a a momentous task, but we got them here, and I'm just amazed at the amount of help from all of the people connected to Thomas over the years. That it made the process much easier, and but yes, it was emotional. I was with Hijron, and we sent his ashes, which clearly spread down on the ground, and I believe the wind took a number of them, a good portion to the Caspian Sea, which is a lovely thought where he'll.
During their few days in Azerbaijan, Thomas Galt's brother and widow also attended the screening of the documentary Thomas Galt's The Oil Odyssey, dedicated to his life and his role in promoting Azerbaijan's energy policy.
I think we'll also show this film at the university. Students absolutely must know about it. Today's experts often look at Azerbaijan analytically, what to write, what to analyze, but they don't have any emotional connection to our country. Thomas Goltz had a deep connection to our culture, to our people. He had many friends here, and that's what made him different. He was, in many ways, Azerbaijani in spirit.
Had the opportunity to be here. I've seen exactly how and why he loves Azerbaijan so much. Yeah, I don't. Sorry.